Welcome in to the Meltdown. Today on the show, 007 got caught trespassing in Yellowstone. Most of the Meltdown crew went to go see the latest A24 movie, Love Lies Bleeding, last night as it expands to a theater near you. And we'll get these reviews and tell you how the box office is shaping up this weekend. There are a number of big casting announcements to catch you up on from this week, and Lunce's list profiles the television shows that John can't wait to see return to another season of excellence. It's all straight ahead, right here on The Meltdown. Presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
Two big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything you know that makes a meltdown. Oh, it's the meltdown. Coming for the meltdown, time for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
Beautiful as always. We appreciate Rocky there with the live version of the theme today, and thank you to all of those Meltdonians that are following us live right now on YouTube, Facebook, X, or Twitch. We are live with you every single weekday starting at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. We appreciate you for making us a part of your daily routine. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button for us on YouTube. It helps us tremendously. The other half of the Meltdown, that's John Lunsford, who's still recovering following the latest trailer for The Crow. Our reaction video to the trailer is on the channel if you have not yet seen it. John, how many times have you watched the trailer over and over again?
0. I watched it the one time you forced me to, and I have never gone back.
And I have a feeling you will not be going to see it at all in the Cineplex or on streaming. So that review will have to be left up to me and producer Tyler, who's here. And you have some news for fans of Spider-Man with this latest Spider-Man Daily News Update.
I do. Here's your Spider-Man Daily News Update. So first off, Nick Cage, he's in talks. He has confirmed to be in talks for the Spider-Man Noir live-action series. Now,
that sounds good. That's great. That's great.
I'm sure you guys remember his portrayal of Spider-Man Noir in the Spider-Verse animated movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday we were talking Gone in 60 Seconds. Today we're talking Spider-Man Noir. It's been a big week for Nick Cage.
He was at the Oscars, too. He was one of those presenters at the Oscars.
He was. He had one of the best lines of the night there.
And then following up yesterday's news about the canceled Spider-Verse game that they chose to make a Venom game instead for, we've got an official name for that. It's going to be called Venom Lethal Protector. Miles and Peter will also be playable in the game alongside Venom. It will happen after Spider-Man 2, if you guys were a fan of that game. Carnage will be the main villain. It releases next year, and it'll only be $50, which suggests that this will be a smaller scale game, much like the Miles Morales game.
Yeah, it won't be good. And it's not a Spider-Verse game, but you can play as multiple Spider-Man within this from different universes.
Round of applause for producer Tyler's daily Spider-Man update. Thank you so much. All the Spider fans out there, thank you for your service to the cause. And Rockstar, who provides our lovely intro theme and our Lunce's List theme, is back in studio again with us. Rocky, we appreciate you playing live today.
Thank you. I appreciate that, too.
Unlike what happened with Kanye West at the Rolling Loud California Festival in Los Angeles last night. Have you seen this story?
No, but Kanye's in the news?
It's amazing. He tends to always be in the headlines as Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign stood on stage for an hour without using the mic while pre-recorded music from their already released first album played over the loudspeakers.
What's the problem?
This was a ticketed event.
What's the problem?
Well, I think I would understand some people being upset.
Are you confident? I'm guessing nobody here is a Kanye fan. I'm not really a Kanye.
He has plenty of good music over time, but right now I'm not clamoring for it, no.
Are you confident if he was playing tonight that you had a ticket that you would be satisfied, a satisfied customer?
No.
Yeah, to be a gamble like that, it's kind of like Guns N' Roses. Sometimes they come on 3 hours before showtime. Like after showtime, it's just like they make people. Madonna's doing that, where it's just like, what am I getting into? It's a risk versus reward. Is it really worth to go see Kanye? Be part of a TMZ story the next day.
So it's very important to me that the theatrical viewing experience remains healthy and one where consumers are thrilled to go to the movies and be excited to go to the movies. How important is it to you, Rockstar, that people feel like they get their money's worth at all these different concerts? Because the price of a concert ticket right now is as high as it's ever been in our lifetime.
It is. It's a lot on the artist too. Like Taylor Swift, I cannot believe she's doing the energy she has and to keep doing this, because a lot of people like Britney Spears, they dance and everything, but they're not singing. They lip sync. And that's the thing where people are going out. It's a good thing to say that people are getting babysitters. They're spending this money. You've got to be able to entertain them. And I just don't know. That's a hard task to do this night after night. And Kanye's just like, I'm not doing it. I've already got my money. I don't need you. No.
Right. It is a big gamble. There are a lot of logistics that have to be secured for sure. And it's one thing that people are going to have to sort of map out before they decide whether or not they're going to take the plunge on securing those concert tickets. I believe, do I see someone at the window here on this Fun Friday edition of The Meltdown? I do. Well, sort of did for a split second. And now it's okay. How many times have we practiced this?
I think somebody else is to blame for that one.
Oh my gosh!
The person next door is to blame for that.
I thought that you were going to answer the door for me.
He was on his way, I feel like, but I do blame. Was it Reed Taylor that we're supposed to blame for this?
Yes, we were talking about Taylor Swift. It was a whole thing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
we just talked about performers showing up late to venues and stuff, and then we couldn't get Laurel in here on time. But you know what? We're going to push through. We're going to make it. We're going to make it happen. I want to bring up this story before we really get going, and that is Entertainment Weekly reporting that James Bond actor Pierce Brosnan pleaded guilty in court yesterday to foot travel in a restricted thermal area of Yellowstone National Park. I wasn't aware this is really something that could get you in hot water, but that is the case. Do you like that joke? No. He was ordered to pay, everybody brace yourselves, because I don't think Pierce Brosnan's going to be able to come up with this sum, $1,500, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Wyoming. That figure includes a $500 fine, a $1,000 community service payment to the Yellowstone Forever Geological Fund, a court processing fee of $30, and a $10 special assessment fee. Brosnan is 70. He issued an apology on Instagram saying that he considers himself an environmentalist and has the utmost respect for and love of our natural world. John, should we put Pierce Brosnan behind bars and throw away the key?
I'm just reading his apology that's so like in depth of, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry guys. I did not mean to do this. You must understand I love nature and you need to stay on the path. And it's like, who cares? Honestly, like, I mean, if they want you to say, hey, give us $1,000 to help preserve this place.
He's got that Mamma Mia money. He's fine.
Yeah, do it and move on. Like, it's...
got that Mrs. Doubtfire money.
Mrs. Doubtfire, that's another good one.
Yeah.
It was a drive-by fruiting.
House Crown Affair is good.
We have Josh who says, let's start a GoFundMe for the poor guy. I don't think he's going to need it. I think that's going to be paid probably all in cash, as there are numerous warnings posted in the park directing tourists to stay on designated trails due to the dangerous nature of the various thermal features, which include hot springs, geysers, and mud spots. The park's website also warns visitors, saying, stay on boardwalks and trails and thermal areas. Hot springs have injured or killed more people in Yellowstone than any other feature. Brosnan is there because he's been shooting a Western titled Unholy Trinity at the Yellowstone Film Ranch in Montana. But John is right. You can read his apology.
I made an impulsive mistake. Yep. One that I do not take lightly. When entering a thermal area covered in snow at the Yellowstone National Park to simply take a photograph. I did not see a no trespassing sign that posted or warned of danger. I'm sorry. It's just like, it's so...
I didn't realize
we were doing theatrical.
I deeply regret my transgression and offer my heartfelt apologies for trespassing in the sensitive area. It's just so over the top for like...
You forgot the
dude,
most
you
important
step
part.
on the grass over there. I mean, who cares?
And then he follows it up with Yellowstone and all of our national parks are to be cared for and preserved for all to enjoy. Hashtag stay on the path.
Yep.
I think the hashtag sort of... It takes away from the apology.
I feel like that's something I yell at Ryan Brown, like hashtag stay on the car path or something.
Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of the least badass 007 story we've ever told.
Pretty much.
Couldn't even make it through Yellowstone without being detected. I feel like even Austin Powers could get away with that. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to this. John, there's a lot of ways for Brosnan to win back that $1,500 at our title sponsor, MyBookie.
That's right. Go to mybookie.ag. Conference tournaments going on in college basketball, NBA, NHL season, reaching the end of the regular season. Here, only about 15 games left for most NHL teams. So go there, play those games. Use promo code next round when you make that first deposit. You get a bonus there. You can bet on games. You can bet on casino games. They have live blackjack, roulette, all kind of games there. MyBookie.ag, promo code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie.
I've been craving the opportunity to go back to the movie theaters. I've been looking for that perfect film to pull me back in. Love Lies Bleeding was not that film that I wanted to see on opening night. You guys saw it. We'll get into a review here in just a second as it releases into more theaters this weekend and expands from the limited release of last weekend. But the first thing I need to say is, Laurel, I booked my tickets to Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, it's been getting so many good reviews.
I'm very excited about this film. As a fan of horror movies, this is one of my most anticipated of the year, and I'm going to see it late next week, and I'm looking very forward to it.
Okay, you know what movie I'm actually excited to see because of, and it's a horror movie, and I was not interested at all. In fact, John will tell you I groaned during the previews when I first saw it. I'm really looking forward to Immaculate.
Really?
Yes.
I'm worried about that film because I think it's probably a really good performance and a really bad film. That's what I'm worried about.
I'm very curious about the ending because all the reviews and the whole story with it is quite interesting that apparently Sydney Sweeney auditioned for this movie years ago and they ended up not making the film. And then when she became famous, like more famous, I guess, after Euphoria, she actually sought out the script. She hired people to change it, sold it, I guess, to Neon.
Neon, yeah.
And it's something that she seems like she's really passionate about, which I think is a good segue for her because if she just stuck with the Euphoria stuff, I don't know where her career would really be. But she's doing all these new and interesting things. But I've heard that the ending is going to make people mad. So I'm only can anticipate what that could mean. Like people are going to be upset about it, but I am excited for it because that's just an interesting
Only
story
reason
to
I
me.
would think she could do good in a role like this is one of her first big mainstream roles was on The Handmaid's Tale, which I feel like would follow the way women are treated, and that would follow a very similar path to how she's treated, I feel like, in this movie, to where she was actually pretty good in that. And it's kind of a thing you don't realize until you go back after Euphoria and be like, Sydney Sweeney was in that because Elizabeth Moss and all these other people overshadow her. But I can kind of see that kind of being along the same path. Now, I have no desire to see this, but I can kind of see just from her perspective, like you said, a good performance in a bad movie. I could actually see her being decent in this despite the Madam Web atrocity that happened last month.
John, confirm for me if you don't already know. When does this open up? When does Immaculate open up? Do you know for sure?
This opens up on March 22nd.
Okay, so it's right around the corner.
Just played at South by Southwest.
And
coming
it
out next
got all
week.
the good reviews, and people were saying it's a really good horror film, but everyone said it's good, but the ending is going to leave people upset. And I don't mean like they think it's bad. Like I think the public will get upset seeing it.
Ooh.
So whatever that entails.
Okay, well, for those that don't know, this is a movie about Sydney Sweeney playing a nun that gets pregnant, and all the other nuns are very unhappy about that. And movie starts. That's pretty
It's
much
a
what
horror,
I took away.
a horror version of the Immaculate Conception.
Yes.
Basically.
And there's like 2 of these.
Sister Act 3.
Sister Act 3.
It's like we need
Is what
so
Rocky
many
does.
Owen
Yell it
movies
again.
now.
That's right. I said 1, 2, 3. Sister Act 3. Is that what it's called? Back in action again.
That's in production, I think.
Oh, good.
Oh, God.
I
I've
think I'm
been,
pretty sure
I've
it
been writing
is.
for
Whoopi in
Whoopi.
it?
I think she
I was
is.
just about to make a Whoopi joke, but it was very much
Sorry.
not of the taste in which you were throwing out there. I will say this, Laurel. It was about to be match game 78 in here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Okay, Laurel. That did not make your list of Laurel's list last
No.
week for most anticipated horror movies of 2024. And I've been thinking about that list a lot. And there's one movie I wish I would have asked you about during that list presentation, which, by the way, it's on our channel. If you haven't seen it, Laurel does a great job in laying out what the year of horror movies looks like if you are a fan. There are a lot of good ones. But one that didn't even get referenced by me or by you, and it slipped my mind altogether, was Saw 11.
Okay.
11.
Because Saw X...
And
You
Sean
think
is
Fast and
gonna
Furious
make
is
fun of
bad.
us. Saw 10 is a genuinely good movie. I thought y'all actually were having Poker Mania, and Tim had told me about it, how good it was. And since I knew John would not go see it with me, I was like, I'm going to
won that
go
Poker
have a
Mania, by
solo
the way.
movie day, and I'm going to go see this film. It was surprisingly good. It is the only time where I've been like, I kind of agree with Jigsaw. Like, I can
Cameron
see his
Diaz.
point. I'm like, normally you're like, he's just this crazy man. And then you see some of the things that happen in this movie, and you're like, you know what? I'm mad, but I'm not that mad about what's happening to these people.
We've been talking about the revenge fantasy, ultra-violent movie sector with The Crow coming out in June, but Saw X did a really good job of presenting that from
I feel like it wasn't quite as gory as the others. Like,
Well,
I feel like it was gory.
I think I'm still staying away from that one.
That's normally what you say before you try to lure John into a movie.
There's
a reason she watched it during poker one night.
It was actually good, though.
Okay. But Saw 11, at least an honorable mention at the very least. I wish I would have brought it up.
I will say, I don't know if you felt the same way. I kind of, spoiler alert, at Saw, in Saw 10, they do have a end credit scene. I kind of felt like that scene was not in place with the rest of the movie.
Okay. That doesn't feel like much of a spoiler.
I just don't want to say.
She does it too. But,
No, she didn't do what you do. You say it, then go, oh, spoiler alert, and then you say it again louder.
I was just letting you be aware.
Okay, I don't want any spoilers here because there's a chance I may see this movie. Love Lies Bleeding. You guys saw it last night. Both you, John, and Laurel. Also, Tyler saw this. I want to know, is this a movie that is of quality? I want to start with Tyler. Tyler, you saw the late screening of this last night. I don't know, there were a couple people in your theater, more than you expected.
More than I expected, yeah.
But did this movie live up to your opening night expectations of what it would be?
So I talked a little bit about this in my short Out of the Theater reaction, which you can also catch on our channel. I was expecting something closer to Jackie Brown because I went into this movie blind, like other than seeing the trailer, and then it ended up being more like Thelma and Louise, but I liked it more than Thelma and Louise. But I think I would have rather seen Dune again, to be honest with you guys.
Tyler's keeping Dune in business.
He is. He is going to see Dune as many times as possible. The only weird thing to me is he buys a new popcorn bucket every time he goes. And I feel like that's
stole this one.
You can only use them once.
It's a little overkill. That's all I'm saying. You need to lay off of that obsession. Laurel, what did you think of this movie? You're a huge A24 fan.
I love how every A24, most of them, don't they look like they're shot through like a Polaroid, like a dusty Polaroid of some sort? But it fits with the whole vibe of this movie. The one thing with, I think, Kristen Stewart, I think she and Robert Pattinson have both been able to bypass, which I don't consider it a curse, but some people might say Twilight was a curse. I think they've both been able, I mean, he's Batman, which I know that's stalled for right now, but it will continue. And she's now an Oscar-nominated actress, and she does act similar in a lot of her parts, but I think she's showing more personality, and I thought she was great in this movie. And I thought the other girl, I don't remember her name.
Katie O'Brien.
The entire time, I told John multiple times, I was like, this girl would have been the perfect She-Hulk. She looks like how I would imagine She-Hulk to look. She is built like how you expect She-Hulk to look. I think she actually would have been better than the actual actress that played her.
All right, this performance we saw last night, not only from that actress, but really the whole cast, did it live up to your expectations? Because I hear Ed Harrison's fantastic in it, and I know Westworld Season 1 is your absolute favorite season of television ever, which Ed Harris is a big part of. Was this a return to form for him coming off of his Westworld days?
And my honorable mention, my number 6 on Best Cast TV Characters was between Bernard with Jeffrey Wright, who's just nominated for an Oscar, and Ed Harris playing the Man in Black. This was very Man in Blackish, the character that he plays in this. Very crazy, a little sinister. He plays it well, has the world's worst haircut in it because he's completely bald at the top with the long hair down to like here around. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But it's got a cast that like Dave Franco, Jenna Malone, the people that kind of get mentioned in there, but play integral parts of the stories. That just watching the trailer, I thought it was going to kind of be the two main girls and Ed Harris, that they kind of become more integral parts of the story. And I really like Dave Franco. Overall the acting was good in it. Overall, it was a very solid movie. It was one of my top 5 most anticipated of the year. And I don't remember where exactly it was on the list. I want to say it might have been 2 on the list. It may have been, I don't know, maybe number 1. I don't know. But it wasn't, this sounds weird, but it wasn't crazy enough for me. It had a little crazy to it, but it wasn't crazy enough for me. They either should have made it a very normal movie or made it a very crazy movie, and they kind of were halfway in between. And the A24, sometimes you get full on crazy, sometimes you get full on, boring to a lot of people, really. But overall, a very solid movie.
We hear that this movie is attracting a few crazy people as there's a report of an arrest out of Detroit, Michigan that happened during the screening of this film for someone who enjoyed their experience just a little bit too much, and we'll leave it at that. But I think that this is going to be a film that doesn't do very well theatrically, monetarily.
And I never expected it to.
And I expect it to be a polarizing experience for sure. I hear in this movie, though, there is some sort of jaw-dropping moment. Is that fair to say? There's one moment that's at least jaw-dropping that has you going like, whoa.
I mean, the ending is where it finally kind of gets a little out there. I use Beau is Afraid as the comparison in my
Very
Out of the
much
Theater
like that,
review
yeah.
that when you get to the third act of Beau is Afraid, it's already kind of crazy, but you're like, whoa, okay. Then it kind of does a little bit of that towards the end. But I'll say this, I think the deaths in the movie are very well done. And there's some shock value to it. There's a lot of things that's like, oh, like when it happens, you're kind of, but then you come out, it's like, actually, I think that was actually pretty well done.
Can you hand Rockstar the microphone, please? Because he's going to love this.
Yeah, please.
Speaking of jaw-dropping moments,
Yep.
I love dropping my jaw at Alabama Dental Associates,
Here, hold this. I don't.
which provides specialized care in both general and cosmetic dentistry. While they are well trained in the latest techniques and use state-of-the-art equipment, they never forget their number one priority, which is friendly, personalized care for their patients. At Alabama Dental Associates, with Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian, they work closely together as a team utilizing specialized training necessary to prevent, diagnose, and treat whatever your dental condition may be. They stay current on the advances in research treatment so you know you're receiving the most advanced dental care possible. For more information or to make an appointment, call them at 205-956-8977. That's 956-8977, or visit alabamadental.com. They look forward to seeing you and having you experience a jaw-dropping moment. Appreciate them very much.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes.
Dr. Brian is a close personal friend. Variety reports that this week's other new theatrical release, the dog-friendly adventure movie Arthur the King, starring Mark Wahlberg and a four-legged best friend, has made $825,000 so far at the box office in Thursday previews. Not bad for a movie like that. The Lionsgate movie is expected to make somewhere between $8 million and $10 million this weekend, and I don't think any of us plan to see it, do we? Does anybody plan to see that?
Nope.
Anybody?
I feel like the dog is going to die, and I don't think I can handle seeing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sad dog
I was
movies.
planning on it,
It
and
builds
then I
up like
thought
that.
about it.
Yeah.
Said, nope, don't want to see that.
I won't go see a dog movie in the theater just because I fully expect the whole entire time they're
I mean,
going to make you invested
I
in.
think Marley and Me is a really good movie, but I don't think I could ever watch that movie again. I remember seeing it on Christmas Day and just like bawling my eyes out because it is, I don't know what it is. It just is sad.
I didn't watch it the first time. I couldn't watch it the first time. I had a feeling I knew where that was going.
Definitely
but
watch once and you don't go back.
that movie, Arthur the King, is, according to box office analysts, going to have to settle for third place, as you'll have Kung Fu Panda 4 return to form with another number one weekend, as Dune Part 2 will claim the second spot, according to the forecast. I don't know, Tyler may be able to get that movie up to number one by the end of the weekend. We'll see.
I'll do my best.
Kung Fu Panda 4 projected to make between $28 to $30 million this weekend, and it has grossed $93 million globally. Dune Part 2 on track for around $24 to $27 million in its third weekend of release. Who does that movie star, Rockstar? I can't remember Dune Part 2.
Timothy
Who's in that?
Chalamet.
That's it right there. There's a whole lot of other A-listers in that movie. It's
Elvis
made
is in it.
$162 million domestically, $375 million globally, and I think everyone's awaiting Part 3, even though the books reportedly get a lot weirder, and I don't know if it's going to be a pure adaptation or if there's going to be tough decisions that have to be made there.
I mean, I think you can pull it off in the right way, even though it's a little bizarre, without going full on what you see some of the drawings and illustrations from the book.
Tyler, I know that a lot of people are happy to be in the Dune universe. You're one of them, and there's a series that is in development right now, probably in post, trying to wrap up, and it is going to be debuting sometime very soon. Tell us the latest about this series that I believe is going to be on Max.
Yes, so on HBO Max, or now just Max, there will be a Dune prequel series called Dune Prophecy. The original title was Dune Sisterhood, and this is set 10,000 years before the 2021 movie, and it'll follow the sisters Valia and Tula Harkonnen as they combine forces that threaten the future of humankind and also establish the Bene Gesserits, or Jezzarits, the mystical sect of women you see in the Dune movies.
I'm expecting by the third time you watch this, you to have all of the names down. All of them. Bring a notebook in and do what you got to do.
You know, I the first Dune, because, I mean, I've been looking forward to this, seeing, you know, Dune on the TV screen would be good. But the Dune movie, when it first starts, I was rewatching it going into Dune 2, and it says at the beginning it's year 10,191. And so it's like, okay, well, you know, obviously it's not on Earth. It all takes place on random space planets. But I saw this one. Oh, this one takes place 10,000 years before. It's like, so it's a year 191. So it's like a prehistoric, you know, not prehistoric, but like, you know, old back in the day movie. And then I looked, I was like, I need to look more into this. Dune is set roughly 20,000 years from now in the year 10,191. And it's like, oh, I guess there's another, you know, 80 BC, something else happens, and then they start again. So then it's like, oh, so we're actually 20,000 years away from, you know, just us sitting here on planet Earth.
That's 10,000 years BC before a Chalamet.
That was good. I'm going to give you credit on that.
Thank you.
Nice job.
What am I doing?
Going to move on to this.
Please come in. Okay.
Patty
Jenkins. The Duneverse. You said the Duneverse. That's what you should call it.
I agree. You're actually not wrong. Any others before I move on?
Just Dune it.
Okay.
That's it.
Trying to worm my way out of this one, and we're going to go with this. Patty Jenkins says her Wonder Woman journey is over for the time being, easily forever. That's what the statement says. For the time being, easily forever. I think it's over with. They aren't interested in doing any other Wonder Woman for the time being. It's not an easy task with what's going on with DC. James Gunn and Peter Safran have to follow their own heart into their own plans. I don't know what they're planning on doing or why, so I have sympathy for what a big job it is, and they have to follow their heart and do what they've got planned. That's what the Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84 director had to say about it. Patty Jenkins also says she's now back doing the Star Wars movie Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3 fell apart, and saying, I now owe Lucasfilm a draft. Are you excited at all, John, about the potential for a Rogue Squadron movie? I don't think this will feature Oscar Isaac as Poe in it, but it's going to have, from what I have heard, some sort of Top Gun Maverick feel to it, set in the Star Wars universe.
So there's a game, Rogue Squadron, that I couldn't really get into. I think it was pretty well received, but it's basically a space fighting game, a dogfighting kind of game that I assume then would kind of shift into what she's doing, that it's going to be about the flying aspect of Star Wars more so than anything else.
And let me politely interrupt you by saying there are not many Star Wars games that I have been able to get into. There are very few. They're really not very good, and I blame EA for a lot of that.
Really Knights of the Old Republic is the only one I've been able to get into. That, KOTOR 2, and then Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO that was out there. But yeah, Rogue Squadron, Battlefront, I've never been able to get in those. The Jedi games I've never been able to get into, even though they get decently well reviewed.
I like Shadows of the Empire with Dash Rendar on the N64. That was the best one for me.
Hey, I'm surprised they never did a legit pod racing game. There's an arcade game.
There was. They did. They made it for PS1.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way back in the day. Like now, make one like
wasn't
now.
That when Rogue Squadron came out? Was that PS1 era?
Rogue Squadron. There's a Rogue Squadron that just came out like probably 3-4 years ago. Maybe right before COVID. They came out. I played it on PC. It was okay. I'm not a big playing guy. The controls are pretty much the same as doing like any kind of dogfighting you would do like in a normal plane, even though it's in space. But anyway, you know, when they announced this, that she's one of the millions, and I think we brought this up multiple times. The Game of Thrones guys were going to do a trilogy. Nope. Rian Johnson's going to do a trilogy. Nope. Patty Jenkins is going to do movies. Nope. And then, you know, they've gone through a million people. Taika Waititi is one of those that I think is still somewhat
Who are
on
the
the
directors
list.
of Across the Spider-Verse? Because they were supposed to.
Lord Miller. Well, they fixed, you know, Solo. They came in after Ron Howard and did Solo. Or no Ron Howard took over for them doing Solo. Sorry. I don't remember if they were supposed to have a trilogy or not. But this was one of those who were like, hey, Wonder Woman's great. Let's throw her one. Game of Thrones is cool. Let's throw them one.
So you're not holding your breath that this is actually going to happen.
No, because they've changed. I mean, everybody I named has had one and then not had one, or maybe has one again. Honestly, it seems like because the DCEU has died, we're moving on to a new thing that's not going to have you or your Wonder Woman with it, with the Wonder Woman she had, that it's like, I got nothing to do. Well, send us a draft and see what we can do. That seems where it really is. It's not like we're 100% going to do it. Let's go forward. It almost sounds like, yeah, send a manuscript to my assistant. And I'll take a look at it.
Did you mention Colin Trevorrow and all of that as well? Because he was supposed to be doing episode 9. And it has been a mess working with all of these creatives. Laurel, I just don't think it's a good look when Star Wars just consistently has content clashes, creative clashes with these very talented people that are well respected within the business and just can't get to that finish line of actually making the film.
It's weird because I feel like people do love Star Wars, and I feel like if you were to put something out, people would go to see it. But like he was mentioning, I remember when all of these people got cast to do something, but it also does seem like they hire these people and then they have like a huge bomb that comes out. Like everyone hated the ending of Game of Thrones. Nobody liked Wonder Woman 2. Nobody liked the second Rise of Skywalker. Like no one liked those. So it's kind of like, okay, we panicked. Let's don't have them do anything because nobody. And have those people done anything since? I know that Rian Johnson has the Glass Onion and then Knives Out, but have they done anything since the show's ended?
Well, Patty Jenkins ain't doing Wonder Woman 3.
I mean, Taika Waititi's kind of a flop now too, honestly.
He did Jojo Rabbit, and after that's kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done a little Mandalorian, so I'll give him a little credit in there, but I mean...
And it is weird.
And honestly, Bryce Dallas Howard's probably the person who should have something more than anybody, because the ones she's done in The Mandalorian have been the best ones of the series.
They've been great.
Have you noticed this, Tim, that everyone also suddenly, after they've had something... I noticed that Taika Waititi did this, they start saying, like, I didn't really care about doing Thor. I just needed money to do it. It's like, why do these people feel the need to have to like throw it under the bus though?
They need to keep their mouth shut. Like Dakota Johnson with Mad Web, just hush and say it was fun, and then go home and cry about it. But don't do it on TV.
It's not just Star Wars for Lucasfilm. Indiana Jones ended with a thud.
Yep.
Rockstar is a huge Indiana Jones fan. And this latest Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, have you been able to finish it to this point?
No, I have no desire. I watched...
You're not missing anything.
No, I watched 45, and I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. Crystal Skull was, awful, but I still watched. I finished the film.
Awful, but still watched it.
Yeah, but Shia LaBeouf should not have been in that film.
How do you pronounce Shia LaBeouf actually perfect? But Timothy Chalamet, you make a big dramatic presentation.
Because I'm a huge Even Stevens fan.
Okay, that's fine. You have respect for his process.
Ren Stevens is hot.
Holes.
Okay.
Yeah, Holes. Saw that. It was a Louis Sakar book. Check it.
I believe you.
Number 2.
But Dial of Destiny, I think I watched 45 minutes. The last scene I remember, him getting in a fight, probably a Nazi, in a train, and he's on top of the train, and there's planes crashing everywhere, and it's a lot of CGI. And the story was just going nowhere. And I was just like, I don't care.
Is it a movie that made you love the franchise less? Or can you separate it and go, you know what? I still love
Indiana
first
Jones
trilogy.
It's the trilogy, and these are like reboots almost. Like I don't. If you did a box set, I would do the first 3. And then you find Last Crusade was great. People give Temple of Doom a hard time. I like Temple of Doom.
I love Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom is my favorite.
A Short Round's great. You Betrayed Shiva. That's probably one of the most quotable Indiana Jones movies.
Monkey Brains in that movie.
Yeah, Monkey Brains.
It's great. I love Temple of Doom. I think it's highly underrated.
Tyler, you're insulting me and you're embarrassing them.
Hey, Short Round's the only Oscar winner in that movie that I know of.
It's true.
No more parachutes.
There you go.
Tyler, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all of it right now under Disney, not going well. That Lucasfilm buying that they did. They've been making money hand over fist with all of these different reboots and requels and all this stuff, but they could be making so much more if the quality was there.
Oh, yeah. They announced that. So they bought Lucasfilm for $4.08 billion, and they've made over $12 billion. So it's been a good investment for sure, but I think it's tarnished the name of a lot of these IPs to where the people who grew up with them, or at least grew up with the originals, because like you, Temple of Doom is my favorite Indiana Jones, but I have no desire to see Dial of Destiny. I really don't.
I haven't watched it yet either.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I don't think it was Disney yet. So it was already kind of,
that
franchise was kind of already going downhill.
It wasn't.
I'm not saying they haven't messed up other things.
But people went to go support it and people went to go see it. And while it was looked at as being absolute trash, it wasn't looked at as being the death of the franchise. It looked like there could be some more life out of this thing.
It's only death to me because literally the end of it is, well, Shia LaBeouf, the new Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, wait, never mind. It disappeared.
They were going to have a whole new trilogy with Shia LaBeouf as Indy.
Tyler, there's reportedly some Star Wars re-releases happening in the movie theaters coming up very soon. What can people check out when it comes to Star Wars love on the big screen?
All right, so this year will be the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace. So in celebration of that, all of the original and prequel trilogy movies will be re-released in 4K in theaters.
It's the cash grab thing they're
So none of the sequel trilogy is going to be released.
The Rey and Poe and all of them not in there, but 1 through 6 will be replayed in theaters the first week of May, because 25th anniversary is May 3rd, and you've got the whole May the 4th holiday.
I recently went to go see Return of the Jedi's re-release that happened last year in theaters, and it was fun to go back and revisit it, but I'm an Empire Strikes Back guy, and that's the one that I just have to see on the big screen whenever it becomes available to do so. Will you see any of these in their re-released form this year, John?
Maybe episode 1, because the original ones are ones you've watched a million times. You've seen re-releases multiple times, and that's one that, for pod racing, I'll go see, episode 1. But outside of that, probably not.
Episode 1 has some real high points. There are things I love about episode 1. I just think there's a lot of stuff I don't love about episode 1 that fills up the majority of the movie that you have to get through.
Love anything about episode 1. There's things I can respect about episode 1.
Duel of the Fates, man. It's some of the best Star Wars music ever made. And seeing that fight take place at the end with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, it works every time for me. I love it.
The one thing I don't like about that is the laser grids they have that close when they're fighting, and they got to sit there and stare at each other. It's like, I'm coming.
I love it.
Not right now. I'm coming. It's just what I don't like about episode 1 more than anything else is it's a prequel to the original movies, and I get it's the year gap in it. It's over 20-year gap in it, but the technology there, it's like, boy, where was this technology in the last three in the original 3 movies?
Somehow looks worse.
It's like, they've gone back 40 years or something, but it's like, boy, there's all this cool, crazy technology. I'd almost just rather them see when they show up, they fight, and the fight's over instead of all this other stuff.
Episode 1 is Laurel's least favorite of the prequels, and I say that because there's no Hayden Christensen in there. I'm taking a gamble here.
Okay.
You get Jake Lloyd instead.
I've been rewatching some movies because I was like, there are some movies that have horrible dialogue. Like when y'all were talking about Batman v Superman, that Martha scene, it is stupid.
Martha!
It's really dumb.
It's his mother!
And then when I think about Star Wars, poor Hayden Christensen, I don't think it's his fault, but the dialogue, the thing with the sand, and then the Jar Jar Binks stuff is bad too. But I will admit, and Tim, you can back me up or not, we put on Batman and Robin, right?
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever.
She didn't believe that Robin's name was Dick Grayson.
Well,
She's like, I've never heard Dick Grayson before. And I'm like, it's literally the Flying Graysons.
And did we ever
so I turned it on to prove her.
I don't remember them saying Dick
To be fair, I
Grayson.
never heard them say the name Dick Grayson.
They literally say Master Dick in it.
They say Master Grayson every time.
Oh, Master.
Because I actually went through and watched it. I didn't watch the whole movie, but I watched probably the first hour, and they never said Dick Grayson in it.
As we have been talking about these movies, and as I sat there last night, as we watched, or maybe it was this morning, where Chris O'Donnell, there was some type of scene where he had a mop. It was
he's drying the clothes.
A stylized mop routine.
Yeah. He was kung fu in his laundry.
It's like, I'm going to drink this water.
Yeah.
And I just sat there. I was like, "This is really
what that
stupid.
is exposition to show he's a badass that can take on crime in the street. Watch what he's doing to his laundry. You think? I mean, he cares. If he doesn't care about his laundry, how's he going to care about the thug that he's beaten each and every evening? So I mean,
but back to episode 1, the thing with Jar Jar, somehow Jar Jar becomes in charge of this whole nation, and they're like, he's in charge of the battle. But how?
And you never see him again. I'd like this. I want to see.
That's what I
That's
said.
one of the things. Now, I don't think they could ever do it. But one of the things I want to see is Jar Jar's end.
But in episode 2, you get a scene with Jar Jar walking by the camera where he looks at the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and smirks and smiles at the audience.
That's what I want to see Jar Jar's death. I want to see what happens to him. I know that dude that plays him is totally ruined by it or whatever.
Not anymore.
No, he's not.
I know he got brought back in a different role, but it's just. I would like to see the death of Jar Jar at some point.
This is what I wanted to get Laurel's opinion on. There's been tons of redemption for prequel actors becoming popular again.
Oh, yeah.
Because the crowd that saw those
Hayden
movies.
Christensen. We've seen the Hayden Christensen bumper stickers at the movie theater.
They actually have.
Yeah, it is crazy that the prequels really found an audience this many years later of Defenders.
What would you have done if on the Obi-Wan show, I said that was the perfect time. I kind of thought that they might have brought Jar Jar back for one of those episodes just to see. And what if they had killed Jar Jar? What if Hayden Christensen had just gone through and killed Jar Jar? They showed that as a flashback.
Jar Jar is supposed to be some sort of Sith Lord and everything. I think I want to
I
see that explored.
See, that's what if it happened, and that's all just fans just making up stuff. But I would love to see that happen. I want to see Jar Jar's downfall. I think that would be hilarious to see. I think could potentially be good and closure for a character that everybody hated and maybe now loves as like hey, remember 20 years ago when this thing happened? I'm just glad the dude that was Jar Jar ended up having a role that actually was vastly important to the Star Wars universe.
After episode 1, they dropped Jar Jar like a bad habit. John, we're dropping our bad habits with the team at Way to Wellness.
We are. Go to Way to Wellness, and you too can play a new character in your own life by being the skinny version of yourself, like I'm trying to be, like Tim's trying to be, like Jim did, and like my dad is doing with our friends at Way to Wellness. Go to aplanforme.com, learn all about Way to Wellness, and Leslie and her board-certified team there. They can help you go get that consultation and get your plan made so you can drop those pounds as well. aplanforme.com and our friends from Way to Wellness.
I'm looking to have a physique just like Jar Jar Binks. That's my hope. That's what I'm going for.
He's got some big old ears.
You can do a Jar Jar impression?
Mr. Fun.
That's not bad at all.
Mr. Fun.
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Well, I was saying because
Have
you're
you
going
ever
to
done
try.
that for Cord?
Annie!
He doesn't watch Star Wars.
I know, but I feel like he'd love the voice. That's all.
Sometimes he likes my voice. Sometimes he's
Right.
very doubtful. Like you don't sound
If
like
he saw
Dad.
Jar Jar, he'd probably make that look.
All right, we've got to get into just a couple of casting announcements here. And according to Deadline, Ari Aster, the filmmaker behind horror pictures Hereditary and Midsummer and last year's very polarizing Beau is Afraid that's already been referenced on this show, has locked in its most star-studded cast yet for his next A24 film, Eddington. Actors set to join the previously announced Joaquin Phoenix include Emmy and Golden Globe nominee and SAG winner Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, fresh off her second Oscar win, this one for Poor Things, Luke Grimes from Yellowstone, and Dune Part 2's Austin Butler, who was nominated for Best Actor at last year's Academy Awards after notably playing Elvis. Laurel, you love Ari Aster for the most part because of the hits that have been delivered. Maybe you've sold a little stock after Beau is Afraid, but when you hear a cast that's lining up to be in his next movie that is this star-studded, it's got to make you very excited about his next project.
Yes, and I think he's someone I really like. Midsummer. I bet Tyler's a Hereditary person. Am I right?
Yeah, I definitely preferred Hereditary over Midsummer.
I knew it, but I did not really care for Hereditary. I didn't think Beau is Afraid. I think the first part was actually pretty good. The last part, not so much. But I feel like this is a chance to see what happens now because that last movie kind of flopped a little bit. I think he needs something to, and I think this is a great cast. Yeah,
it definitely did. John, I know which team you're on when it comes to Ari Aster and his movies. It's very obvious that you are a Midsummer fan. Given that is one of the two Ari Aster movies you've chosen to see.
Of the three, yeah.
It is amazing that Midsummer got you in for Beau is Afraid, even though we didn't realize it would take the twists and turns that it did. But
so Midsummer has its moments where the biggest thing I don't like about horror is the, blood and guts and stuff like that. And this has some of it, but it's rare enough that Laurel will say, hey, close your eyes because she's seen it a million times. And the rest of the movie was very, very solid.
$1 million. Okay, I'm not like a weirdo. Come on.
900,000, excuse me.
the plot is under wraps. The project's being discussed as being a Western, which actually lowers a little bit of my expectations here, but he will direct from his own script and produce. You're going to get the cinematographer behind Bardo and Uncut Gems working on this in his first collaboration with Aster. Production on the film kicked off this week. Meanwhile, 11-time Oscar-nominated director Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie opens on August 8th, 2025 in theaters. The untitled film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and Regina Hall, and will have a run on IMAX screens, meaning this one is going to be one that they're going to try to promote as having to be seen on the largest screen that you can possibly see it on. Anderson's most known for directing Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, The Master, There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, and Licorice Pizza. John, much like Beau is Afraid, we also were not big fans of Licorice Pizza, but when you hear about another cast that's lining up in this type of format, you got to get a little bit excited about what's to come.
I know people like Paul Thomas Anderson, and he's that guy that, like, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is like, please, let's go do it. Let's go do a Paul Thomas Anderson film next. Of the movies you've named, I have not seen most of them, but I have seen Phantom Thread, which was okay. But that's more because Daniel Day-Lewis is Daniel Day-Lewis, and was his
And
last.
he's worked with Daniel Day-Lewis a lot. He's worked with Philip Seymour Hoffman a lot. He's worked with Joaquin Phoenix a lot.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman's kid was a featured star in Licorice Pizza. I don't know if he'll be a part of this one or not. I know Haim is a part of the Alana Haim is a part of this next one too. Punch Drunk Love was super overrated. I think I like Adam Sandler as a serious actor, but this was super overrated. I have not seen Boogie Nights yet. Most of his movies I see, and it's like, I don't really care to see that unless it gets such crazy praise, like a movie like Boogie Nights. Like Laura and I made a list, and that's one of those that's on the list. Like I know I have to watch it.
I think if Tom Cruise were going to win an Oscar, I think Magnolia was going to be it. Like that movie's really good too, and Tom Cruise is phenomenal in it, and I think that was kind of his one chance to win. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Magnolia has a star-studded cast for sure. William H. Macy's in that movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of big people.
Julianne Moore's in that movie.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly's in a bunch of movies.
He's in Boogie Nights
Paul
too.
Thomas Anderson.
I love John C. Reilly. We did
Yeah.
a list of my favorite actors currently going, and after you got past the Leonardo DiCaprio's and Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, John C. Reilly was, I think, 5th or 6th on my list. He's a great dramatic actor
Such
too.
range.
I just anything with Paul Thomas Anderson on it, it's like I'm probably not gonna like it.
Rockstar, you're relatively picky about who you find funny and who you don't. I've heard these conversations.
I think it's true with everybody.
That is true with everybody, but I mean, I guess I listen more closely to your opinions on the world of comedy, being a performer.
Yeah.
My question is, John C. Reilly, has he been someone who has made your that guy's funny list?
Oh, somebody that is a major, seeing his range, I think it finally came out in was Talladega Nights before Step Brothers.
It was.
That when he first, because I remember him being in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He was in The Perfect Storm. Just that D character. He's like, that guy's always in stuff. He's pretty good. You never see him in Boogie Nights, and then stepping into comedy and doing a bunch of improv with people, masters like that, like Will Ferrell. But then he came up with Tim and Eric's show with Dr. Steve Brule. Dr. Steve Brule, even though if you watch the first episode, he is kind of a normal guy that's kind of a klutz, and now you see like he is just mentally challenged. Like he's adapted a little bit, but the hair, John C. Reilly is amazing. I've tried to get him on our show. It's kind of back and forth with
John Lunsford will lose his mind.
Oh, I would love to see John. His voice is awesome. There's a guy that does a great impression. I'm like, he's kind of like this. Like, I don't know what are we doing? Kind of like Kermit the Frog.
That's good.
Yeah, kind of like a little Mincy something in there.
Ray Romano. But yes, I think John C. I'm super respectful to have. It is so hard to be, even though he came as a drama first into comedy. It's easier for comedy to go to drama. I think if you're a comedian, because like Adam Sandler can do it. Robin Williams was the master at it. But I think it's amazing for somebody to go, because imagine Leonardo DiCaprio going to comedy. Like it's to be like actually funny.
Right.
It's just really hard to transition that when you're, this guy's a drama actor.
And coming off being nominated for an Oscar for a drama too with Chicago, and then going into a lot of comedies as well. So not only good at drama, but everybody recognizes he's good at drama. Right,
it's a weird thing to say, but in all of this red carpet coverage and everything, they asked the star of The Holdovers, Paul Giamatti, what's one genre you'd like to work in? And he said horror movies. He's a huge horror movie fan. He'd love to work in horror movies. I would love to see a horror movie with Paul Giamatti and John C. Reilly in it. I think that would be incredible. I don't even know the premise.
Like low-key funny, even though it's not a comedy at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But those guys together.
Like The Holdovers is, like a lot of stuff John C. Reilly does. Totally underrated movie. If we ever did Lunce's list of like the most underrated movies that people don't know about,
Go ahead and spoil the list right now,
Captain
John.
Ron.
I think by far my number one. I'd have to go look through it, but by far my number one would be Cyrus. That was him, Jonah Hill, Marissa Tomei, Catherine Keener. The Duplass brothers did it. Mark, more known for his acting, but I mean, it was incredible. And I randomly stumbled upon it one day in the early days of streaming. It is incredible, but it's a drama. It shows Jonah Hill in his drama. It shows John C. Reilly in his drama, which both have done really good and nominated for Oscars for drama. So I would recommend checking that out if you want to see kind of range for people like John C. Reilly.
There are a lot of things we're about to check out with Lunce's list for sure. Speaking of listings, Jim Wilson, our friend and realtor with Location Real Estate. He has a client who's an active duty Marine that's looking for a 4-bedroom house in Jefferson County for $250,000 or less. If you're selling a property like this, call Jim Wilson with Location Real Estate at 205-329-4758. Jim, still active with the U.S. military, able to help you secure the American dream of finding your perfect home. Jim's only happy when his clients are happy. Each of Jim Wilson's clients has his full attention and devotion to get what they need and what they want, not only during the home buying or selling process, but every day after. He's an advocate for you, whether you're buying or selling. Contact our friend, Realtor Jim Wilson, with Location Real Estate at 205-329-4758 or visit jimwilson.locationre.com. If you look ahead, there are a lot of things to be excited about on the small screen as TV continues to create exciting content for viewers to stream at home. Which are the most highly anticipated by John? Well, Lunsford will now be sharing his personal expertise with us on this edition of Lunce's List.
What is this? What is this? Lunce's List. What is this? Oh. What is this? What is this? Lunce's List. Lunce's List. Oh. Lunce's List of 5. Lunce's List of 5. Lunce's List of 5. Lunce's List of 5. Yeah.
John, it's time to name the 5 upcoming seasons of television that you are the most excited for. One thing you told me before we got started, because I never know what's on Lunce's list, you told me this has actually been quite a tough list to come up with. I guess that means whittle down to just 5.
Yeah, I got 12 off the top of my mind that I started thinking about shows I really like, what are done, what's done, what's not done. Because I feel like whenever you do like a list of, hey, what are your favorite TV shows? Movies, you've either seen a movie or you haven't. But with TV shows, I feel like you have to separate it off into shows that are done and shows that aren't done because you don't know the ending of like Westworld season 1. I've said it on here. It's the best single season of television ever, and almost everybody on the planet would say it completely dropped off after that. But when it was happening, it was my number one because I think I did a Lunce's list of like my best TV shows just in general, and that's one that had fallen off. I still probably have a number 1 overall, but like other seasons have done a lot better. So it was, hey, what are the ones that are on that I really and truly am looking forward to this next season specifically because of what the season means, what it could potentially mean long-term for the show as well.
Let's go ahead and make sure we've got a camera on the list ready to go because no one's going to want to miss these 5 selections of what John just absolutely cannot wait to see. Mr. Lunsford, take to the board and write out number 5. Laurel, is there anything about y'all's at-home viewing TV habits that you can take us behind the scenes on? I mean, do y'all normally watch late at night, or do you try to work through everything on the weekend? What are you watching?
So, well, usually I'm sure that everyone here is like this too, but you find like, you're cooking something or ordering something. So you have to have like your snack or your meal ready, but you also have to have it already planned out what you want because, you don't want to you have the food sitting there getting cold. So, and John does like to watch movies late. I'm usually asleep, but it has to be the loudest thing that you could possibly
I just
pick.
randomly was watching Pacific Rim the other night.
Godzilla and the monsters.
I went there and watched all the
roaring.
Godzilla movies. Yeah.
We
That's
wake
so
up,
funny.
there's just like a fire-breathing dragon. It's
More explosions. Okay. Number 5, Severance Season 2. Now, I watched this pile of garbage on Season 1 on Apple. I'm just kidding. I didn't
You watched
finish
it, didn't you?
I didn't finish it. I watched it.
Don't have Apple, but I've heard people say that.
We talked about it on the show.
That's one of the shows that I've seen such a mixed reaction. You either love it or you hate it.
I hated what I saw.
Severance is incredible. Now, it is a show you got to get through.
And here's what I want you to do.
Just enough to keep you engaged until the end when it hits the fan and you're ready to go.
I don't want you to spoil previous seasons of these shows. I want you to pitch us on why we should start Severance Season 1. What did I miss out of Season 1 that you loved so much?
So I've always been fascinated with the backrooms. That was called backrooms, kind of underground. I looked at Tyler. I don't know why.
Talking about Scott Forster, Tyler, Rockstar,
That's probably why I
yourself.
said the backrooms because I looked at Tyler. What the heck is it called now? Anyway, there's like a series of horror things on the internet where like you go through these hallways. Tyler's it called the backrooms?
Tyler's begging for the
Back
microphone.
room, right?
Yes, that's the backrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
This huge liminal space trend.
Yeah,
popped
and
up
so
a
it's all
couple
about
years ago.
you basically get stuck in these hallways with no way out, and there may or may not be a monster chasing you through them. It's been modified in pop culture a lot, especially like on social media and TikTok and stuff like that, to where you watch these and maybe there are monsters chasing after you. Maybe there's a video game where you can just wander these hallways aimlessly. It'd be a great A24 movie one day if they ever decided to.
They're doing one, and it's by I think he's 16. He like entered some competition, and there's like some boy that's making a backroom movie that for A24.
So this basically takes all of that and turns it into what a modern version of kind of that would be. Imagine going underneath your building that you're in, you can take a floor to the basement that doesn't even actually exist in your mind, and you get lost down there. And every time you go down there, when you come back up, you don't remember anything that was down there. Severance, when I first heard about it, I thought it was about somebody got fired and they got severance pay or something. It's actually about they sever your mind so that when, and this is the premise of the show, so I'm not spoiling anything, they sever your mind when you go down into work every day and you have a work personality, and then when you go in the elevator, they play like a tone in the elevator and it wakes you up. And so you have no idea what your job is when you go down there. When you come up, you have no recollection, but when you're downstairs, you have no recollection of what your actual life is. You're literally just a drone down there. And so people have the severance operation to separate their mind, their work mind and personal mind, away from each other, and neither one has any idea what the other one, you have another mind and that's happened, but you don't know what either one actually is.
I wish I had no recollection of seeing this show because I did not like it very much at all.
I thought it was incredible, but season 2 will come soon. Adam Scott's the main character in it.
I was going to say, we've been talking about Step Brothers, Adam Scott from Step Brothers. This is Step Brothers
and Madam Webb.
And Madam Webb, that is.
Okay,
And Madam Webb, yeah. He's, yeah.
That's not going to sell Severance to anybody.
Yeah. Anyway, no, Severance. By the way, speaking of Uncle Ben, Mystery Fifth Hour, we just did the next round. You can go check that out where we tried to stump them on comic book things. Uncle Ben, one of the things I tried to stump them. I did stump them on, but Adam Scott, that's what he plays in Madam Web as Uncle Ben.
It's right there on the Mystery Fifth Hour. Make sure you check that out over the course of the weekend. Number 4 on Lunce's list. These are TV seasons that John cannot wait to watch once they're released. Starting at number 5 is Severance Season 2, which is an Apple show. At number 4, probably going to go with a different streaming service if I had to guess.
White Lotus.
And this is going to be on Max for those that want to see it. I have not started White Lotus. I hear that I would enjoy it if I started it, but time is tough to navigate the White Lotus starting.
Sean, have you
The
heard
theme song in season 2 is incredible.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Have you heard it?
Well, the wife and I watched the first episode of season 1, and there's a scene with Steve Zahn that kind of shocks you. I heard it was
It's
not
an
real.
adult show.
Yeah. Well, no, like it's just something. But I love Steve Zahn.
Sidney Sweeney too.
Yeah.
Sidney Sweeney's in it
Love
too.
Steve Zahn. Love Jennifer Coolidge and what's his name? Uncle Rico. John Grise.
Yes, the
John
best.
Grise. I love him. But that guy, it's one of those shows that I've seen the first. I thought it was everything's awkward like Napoleon Dynamite, and again we only watched one episode. Didn't hate it, but just didn't continue watching it.
It's not always awkward like that. I mean, it is a lot, but like Murray Bartlett plays the resort manager in the first one. He's really good. He was the one that was with Nick Offerman in The Last of Us in that episode where they were together. Connie Britton is in it. She's Steve Zahn's wife in it. Sidney Sweeney, like Laura mentioned, Alexandra Daddario. Jake Lacey is the guy that was in The Office, that was in the last season of The Office. So anyway, there's a lot of really good people in season 1. Season 2 turns it up even again. Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos is one of the main characters in it. Theo James, we were just talking to Lance. Theo James from Divergent and is now doing The Gentleman TV show. So there's a lot of really good people in it. Aubrey Plaza's in the second season as well. And it's a new way to do a murder mystery. Most murder mysteries are somebody dies, they are dead, so then it's kind of a whodunit after that. With this one, you only know at the beginning of the season that somebody has died, but you have no idea who died and you have no idea who did it. So then it adds an extra element of you're trying to figure out more than anything who died, more so than who actually did the killing in it. And then season 2 takes it up another step, and then season 3 is ultimately coming soon, and I think it's going to be really, really good.
HBO wants it to be very, very good. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3. I don't know how many awards handed out for White Lotus is it Jennifer Coolidge? Is that who won all the awards? Number 3 on Lunce's list. I think I can guarantee 2 that will be on here, and we have not seen them so far, but I don't want to spoil what I think will be on there, but I'll tell you when I see one.
House of the Dragon, I'm assuming he's writing right now.
All right, number 3, House of the Dragon Season 2. That is a show we are getting this summer. I believe it's June when House of the Dragon comes back into our lives. This is a season of television, Season 1, that I saw and absolutely loved. I'm happy that it made Lunce's list.
I assume this is one of the 2 you were talking about.
It actually is not one of the 2 that I knew would be on here.
I mean, I could see you thinking the other 2, but no, House of the Dragon was really, really good. You can't, with only one season, this is once again why I think you need to separate. shows that are currently going and shows that have ended, because Game of Thrones completely did not land the plane at the end. House of the Dragon has been, near perfect so far to me. That House of the Dragon just in one season is better than the overall taste in the mouth that you have from Game of Thrones, but you can't even remotely compare it to Game of Thrones yet. If it even is close to season 1, it will be on that path to, hey, because I kind of say this with Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I brought that up when I had Saul Goodman on my list. Breaking Bad was a great show. I ultimately think it's a better show, but Better Call Saul learned from Breaking Bad to ultimately make it potentially a better show in a lot of people's minds. I'd say the same thing for House of the Dragon as well.
Laurel, you loved House of the Dragon season 1. I know you're excited about the second season.
I think this is the best first season of any series. Like
It's out
that, there are certain scenes in that show, like the one specifically that's not a spoiler, but at the final with the 2 dragons of the nephew and his cousin underneath each other. That scene looks like something out of an Oscar-winning movie, and it was done so. And this is a perfectly casted show, like especially when they did the younger girls with the older girls.
They did a good job from young to old with a lot of when it had to be a different actor.
I'm so glad that Doctor Who finally has a head, because he was in Morbius. What's his name?
Matt Smith that plays Damon in it. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the name of the young girl in this that is now cast as Supergirl in James Gunn's universe. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't even remember who's cast as Supergirl.
Oh gosh, I can't remember. But she plays.
Emma?
No, it's like it's a weird, sort of a weird first name. It's like Illy something. It is like a Millie or something like that. But anyway, look it up. Tyler, did you watch House of the Dragon season 1?
I have not. I don't have Max, so I have not watched House of the Dragon yet.
Millie Alcock to play the young Rhaenyra. Yeah, I didn't know she was Supergirl in the movie. Sorry.
Oh, y'all are good.
I had it right.
I've not seen it, but I don't want to be interrupted in my breakdown of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'd like to see it though, because the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are just perfect TV to me. The way you couldn't tell which way the story was going, where the fights were going.
And they have not dropped the ball yet with this. Is it King Varys who was in the first season that his character arc, Viserys, his character arc is insane in this show in season 1, and I am looking forward to seeing what the fallout of all that will be.
And I'll say this about this franchise, or this aspect of the franchise versus Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones did not have an ending from George R.R. Martin's standpoint. House of the Dragon has already been a complete. Now, could they add to it? Sure. But it already has a completed story that you can go and read through the books if you wanted to. So while that spoils things, obviously, that lets me think when it comes to landing the plane at the end, which they did not with Game of Thrones because they ran out of runway from the book standpoint, they're not going to with this unless they choose to go off script. So that's why I have a lot of faith that this ultimately will end up better than Game of Thrones.
Also sounds like a Chinese restaurant name.
House of the Dragon?
That's where we're going tonight. Yeah. They got good Kung Pao.
Daniel writes in and says that he loves Severance, which is your number 5 spot, saying the season 1 finale was phenomenal. I haven't made it to the season 1 finale because I gave up on the show. Let's go to number 2 on Lunce's list. I'm not giving up on the list, though, and that's what's important. I think I can name the final 2.
This one also potentially the name of a Chinese restaurant as well.
Ooh, Abbott Elementary? Law and Order SVU?
Keep guessing, right?
It's Grey's Anatomy. Oh, my God.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I can't see. I can never see. I complain about it every episode, but I have no idea. You guys have to fill me in when you see it.
Strange Things.
Yep, this is one of the 2.
I would put an R on there.
You think this could be the name of a Chinese restaurant?
Sorry. You've seen some Stranger Things in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I didn't write it right.
There
Perfect,
you go.
yeah.
I like that.
Wow.
Laughing at my own joke and didn't spell it right. You see some Stranger Things in a Chinese restaurant, but no, Stranger Things. Here's the thing with Stranger Things and why I have hope.
All the kids are 40 now, but other than that.
Well, here's why I have hope for the finale. Because season 1, very good. A new thing, had that new magic to it. Season 2, you didn't have that new magic, and the script didn't work out too well, and they tried to do some new things that did not work. So ultimately, the worst season to me. Still good, but the worst season to me. Season 3 came right back, and boy, that was a pretty cool season. Season 4, COVID hits and completely gets thrown off the tracks. And I made a lot of plane and train crashing references, but it completely went off the tracks at that point. But at the end of the day, when the season actually came out years later, it was incredible. And for me, season 4 is my favorite season to watch.
And that's the horror scene. And that's like the horror season.
And it gets full into horror in that. So I would say season 3 and season 4 really picked it up. And because they got completely derailed and came back and still landed it, that's why I still have faith, even though season 5 has been derailed by A, COVID plus just time. The kids have gotten a lot older. B, the strike, because they're gung-ho ready to go, and then the strike happened. And C, you're just going to put a lot of money and time and effort into completely making the finale right, which means it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money to do. But I have faith that they can finish it. They can finish it the right way. Millie Bobby Brown said, because she's out promoting Damsel right now, which is okay. But she basically said, hey, we still have 9 months of filming left. 9 months of just filming, much less this is going to be a crazy special effects show. Who knows when we'll get the final season? But I have faith that they can finish it well.
Can I say I love the show? I'm a big fan of it. Season 4 was great and everything. I agree. Season 2 was not that great, but it seems to me every season is 9 episodes of 11 forgetting how to use her power, and then how powerful she truly is. And by the finale, she's like, "Okay, I got it. I've forgotten this." Every season has ended like that. We're like, you know how to do this. And it's like, you are powerful. And that's like, but it's such a good show, but every season ends like that.
The only reason I can somewhat accept that is the whole point is she didn't come out of the womb a superhero. She had to be trained to be one. And that by going and living the normal teenage life instead of being stuck in the, basically in a facility where she's being taught this every single day, she eventually kind of loses it and it's got to go back and get trained again and kind of get it. It's kind of like charging your phone. Almost that I kind of understand from a real world perspective. If I went and trained to learn psychic powers for like 10 straight years, I may be able to do it. I don't know. But like, that's kind of
dump your ass.
But that's what they did. A real line.
But Argyle's not coming back. Sorry.
Damn it. Whoa, dude.
She has to eat a proper amount of Eggos before going back into battle.
You know.
I know enough. I've watched 2 seasons of the show. I just don't like it.
Season 3 and season 4 are really good. I think they'll ultimately land the plane, but we'll see.
Number 1 on Lunce's list. I personally think I know the answer, but we will see.
I think you do.
I think I do.
I think you do.
Does this?
Laurel does.
Does this show take place inside of a restaurant?
No.
Oh,
because you were way off.
I thought The Bear would be on there. I really did. The next season of The Bear, which I believe they're shooting both of those seasons
coming out this summer.
simultaneously. Yeah. All right, number 1. It's not anything bear related. Okay. Tyler told me what it was.
Okay.
Euphoria season 3.
I don't think Euphoria is ever coming back.
Now, that's Laurel's opinion. I could see it. Don't get me wrong. I can see it. But as of now, it is an active show that is in production to do a season 3.
Laurel, are you surprised in any way that the cast of that show completely blew up and now they're everywhere?
No, and I think people, when the show comes back, I think that they're going to be kind of disappointed because so many of those people have blown up. Sydney Sweeney and Jacob Elordi especially, and they've kind of hinted at they don't really want to do all the nudity and all the sex anymore because that's what Emilia Clarke, on Game of Thrones, she was like, hey, by the end of the season, she's like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I have enough star power. And I wonder if that will be able to transfer, if people will still be because Zendaya's not taking her clothes off.
She never did.
And I think Hunter Schafer, I think she's even gotten big enough that I think they've all kind of alluded to that they don't really want to be the show's focus of doing that.
And one of my favorite characters from the show was just nominated for an Oscar with Coleman Domingo as well, who is Zendaya's sponsor in it. But here's the thing. Now, the biggest thing that's fallen off from this is Sam Levinson, not any of the people acting in it. But if you get that cast to come back and do one really good season of television, as good as Euphoria is already regarded by most people, that could be the single greatest season of television ever with as big as these stars are. If they do come back and they do it, I don't know that they will. This thing could totally fall apart tomorrow and they cancel it. It wouldn't shock me at all. But as of now, it is considered an active show that is going to have a next season, maybe final season. The only one of these that I know is a final season is Stranger Things. And so Euphoria is just a good enough show that if it is an active show currently in production, I am waiting on the edge of my seat for
You're
season
waiting
3.
on an announcement. You're just waiting on an announcement that it's in production.
It's been pushed to right up to the point of let's actually do it. And HBO's on board. Sam Levinson will do it because he's not really doing much else right now. It's the biggest thing is just getting actors in there to do it.
All right, there we have it. Number 5, Severance. Number 4, White Lotus, which, by the way, Nicholas wrote in our chat during the live show here saying White Lotus is good, so a fan of that choice. Number 3, House of the Dragon. Number 2, Stranger Things. Number 1, Euphoria, for upcoming seasons of TV that John's super excited about. A lot of HBO representation on here.
Yeah, I tried to do colors, Apple, Max, because Max used to be purple, but it's blue now, red, and then that.
Why no the bear on here?
All right, so here's my honorable mentions. I had 7.
The Bears.
That I actually thought about putting on there.
Bears.
My actual number 6 is not the bear. The bear is number 8. My number 6 is Cobra Kai, the final season coming to Netflix. Incredible show. The movies, I've liked the movies for the most part. I mentioned how I hated the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith one, but this has been an incredible series overall. It started on YouTube. It's actually where it started, and Netflix has picked it up, and it's been really, really good. Number 7, The Last of Us Season 2. The only reason this didn't make my top 5 is because I know what happens in the second game, and it will make a lot of people mad if they actually stick to it. Which some they did shot for shot from the first game. Some they totally, like I almost said Ron Swanson. Why he was number 1 on the list, by the way. The Nick Offerman Murray Bartlett episode is totally different than the game. But it ended up being the best episode to a lot of people. So I could see them making a change. I just know what happens in the second game. People are going to be disappointed if they stick to it. Number 8, The Bear, Season 3. Number 9, Only Murders in the Building, Season 4. It's been a phenomenal show, and it's only getting better. Number 10, The Righteous Gemstones, Season 4. This last season was the best season of that show. It's getting better with age. And then the 2 that I kind of thought, look, I'm really looking forward to this, but I just can't really include it on the list, is Andor Season 2, because I love the political nature of Star Wars that never actually gets talked about because you want to see the lightsaber fight instead. And Andor is straight up about the political nature of the Senate following Order 66, and then Arcane, the League of Legends show, Season 2. Arcane was really good on Netflix first season.
You know what I hate is only burgers in the building, which is what you get at some fast food restaurants and some casual dining restaurants. I prefer a variety on the menu. That's what you get at Culver's. Fish, shrimp, burgers that are lovely. Those butter burgers are perfect for the entire family. Chicken tenders, spicy chicken tenders. You get it all right there. Cheese curds. Culver's has it all. They're our studio sponsor, and we are very proud to be associated with the great team at Culver's, with people like Joe, Allie, and Matt, happy to serve you at either the Culver's of Hoover or Culver's of Birmingham location. Welcome to Delicious. John, you love eating Culver's while playing at MyBookie.
I do. I stopped at Culver's on the way back from Nashville. I sat back like, oh, that's a groaner about burgers. But what I love is their buffalo tenders there, so I eat those. But mybookie.ag, use promo code next round when you make that first deposit. You can play anything, anytime, anywhere. Just go to mybookie.ag.
We appreciate everyone that's made it another successful week of the Meltdown. Make sure you tell your friends, subscribe, like this video. It helps us out a lot. We got a lot of things on the channel for you. We'll have another edition of Laurel's List being published later today. Make sure you're subscribed when that piece of content drops. We want you to be able to see it. It's all right here on the Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting from the Culver studio.